Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Do you have friends who can help you see past your own roadblocks? Hey, this is Jen. This is the Bible for Busy People, and I remember once crying to a friend about a situation that felt hopeless. I remember clearly I was sitting across from her in a restaurant booth, and she took in my distress, and then she gently said, "This too will pass." At that moment, the situation felt overwhelming, and now I can't even tell you what I was crying about that day. But sometimes we need people to help us get out of our own heads and to have clarity beyond what we can't see past. We're reading today about Elisha, and we're in 2 Kings chapter 5, starting in verse 1. It says, "Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master, and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, 'If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy.' Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. 'By all means go,' the king of Aram replied. 'I will send a letter to the king of Israel.' So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, 'With this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you, so that you may cure him of his leprosy.' As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, 'Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me.' When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message, 'Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel.' So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, 'Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed.' But Naaman went away angry and said, 'I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?' So he turned and went off in a rage. Naaman's servants went to him and said, 'My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?' So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, 'Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant.' The prophet answered, 'As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing.' And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. 'If you will not,' said Naaman, 'please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry, for your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other god but the Lord. But may the Lord forgive your servant for this one thing. When my master enters the temple of Rimmon to bow down, and he is leaning on my arm, and I have to bow there also, when I bow down in the temple of Rimmon, may the Lord forgive your servant for this.' 'Go in peace,' Elisha said." We talked about this story recently. Aram, which is present-day Syria, and Israel had conflict, and God had given them victory through Naaman. God was with him even in conflicts against Israel. God allowed Israel to face consequences for rejecting him and choosing idols. This is a hard truth. Naaman had leprosy, which went by a Hebrew name that describes several skin diseases, but it clearly caused serious issues for him. The servant girl here had enough faith and boldness to suggest that Naaman go to Elisha. Can you imagine? She had been taken from her homeland to be a servant in a new place. What reason did she have to speak up? Why would they have even believed her? I hope that meant that she was treated well, but regardless, she was under no obligation to see him healed. The king sent him to the country that they were in conflict with, maybe as a temporary truce, and it didn't go well. The king of Israel first thought that they were instigating more conflict. It's striking to me that the little girl with nothing to gain sent Naaman to Elisha, faithfully believing he would be able to heal Naaman. But the Israelite king heard from the Aramean king and forgot everything but the conflict in front of him. Elisha saw through that issue. There seems to be a running theme with Elisha of seeing past what's right in front of him, a spiritual sight. I like the Enduring Word commentary's perspective too, noting that the king of Israel didn't seem to have any kind of relationship to Elisha or to God. It says, Elisha gave a gentle rebuke to the king of Israel. This is a crisis to you because you have no relationship with the God who can heal lepers. But it is a needless crisis because you could have a relationship with this God. Naaman would never know there was a prophet in Israel by hanging around the royal palace. The true prophet in Israel wasn't welcome at the palace. And then for Naaman to be as respected as he wasn't received in the way he expected. Elisha sent a messenger to his own door, which cracks me up. He sent Naaman away to go do the work on his own with instructions that he felt were beneath him. I wonder if it was a test from God to see if Naaman would actually go out on faith, to see if he would be humble, and to make it very clear that God was behind the miracle. Again, the servants intervened. I wonder if they were also Israelites. I also get the sense that without excusing the fact that they had been captured and made to be servants, they were basically treated well to be able to approach their boss and say something like this to him. Ultimately, Naaman made his own choice to follow the instructions, which resulted in immediate healing. His skin was restored as if he was young again. There's a clear parallel between this story and baptism. It was a simple, faithful decision to obey God that led to restoration. Sometimes we resist the simple things God asks us to do. Have you ever experienced that? Naaman became a believer, and I love that he even goes the extra mile. He asks for forgiveness even if he accidentally bowed before an idol. Naaman's gratitude is striking. He is wholly different, not just in being healed, but in seeing the power of God. This is something Jesus told us too. Caring for people's needs is a powerful testimony to God's healing and goodness. We cannot neglect one and expect the other. Now you can go back and read, but at the end of the chapter, our old friend Gehazi comes back and shows a very interesting contrast to Naaman. But there's a lot here. I'm going to leave you with this. What simple steps of obedience in your life are going to lead to restoration in your soul? Is there something that you've been avoiding that God has put on your heart to do? I'll leave you with that. Let's talk again tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.